Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We are doing a special edition of the Connor's Closet. We're doing a Connor's couch.
Yeah, we on the couch today.
The Connors. Yes. So we are here. We are being joined by my beautiful fiance Joe. You all know him already, and my beautiful, beautiful sister Jasmine Connor. She is here and joining us. We have been introducing Married at First Sight, or not introducing, but forcing everybody around us to watch.
Yeah.
And Jazz is one of them.
Yes.
So now she was not watching it. She was like, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Hi.
And then that's what she told us. And then she's like super into it.
I am. They
So
got me hooked.
yeah. Talking about Married at First Sight, episode 6. Okay, so I'm so excited to dig into this. The couples are getting a little bit more into, being around each other, hanging out with each other, which is cool.
Yeah.
Jazz did not like this show before, and we forced her to watch
It was alright. But they got me watching it.
Yeah,
And now I got commentary.
Now she got content. She literally texted us and was like, did y'all watch the episode yet? So we were like, we got to bring you in and see how you feeling about this, right? So we're going to start with, we're just going to jump right into the fact that Woody and Amani had sex.
Okay.
And I called it. I knew it was going to happen.
Joe literally called it. He said the
happen.
night that it was going to happen. And I was kind of like, I like adult things. I know that saying. I like when grown people do grown people things. And I felt like they kind of came through on a come through with that. Like, it's okay. We feeling each other.
Yeah.
We doing
wasn't
this.
forced at all.
It wasn't forced. They
You
took
know,
their time.
yeah.
And it was organic. They was like, all right, this is, And it sounded like when they was talking about it, it happened organically. You know what I mean?
Right. What were you going to say, Jessica?
I love how Woody brought the romance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she said, I wanted to make sure that even though we never dated, that there was still romance. And he did that. And
like
that's
that.
so important.
That's
like
so
no matter how long you in a relationship, you still need the romance.
Right.
And I
Yes,
thought that was
Yeah.
That's very true, though. That is so true. And I
Yeah.
really do. The only thing about Woody that really kind of gives me pause is that you ever meet somebody who too good at it?
Yeah.
Like, he a little too good at
Woody
it.
doesn't. I don't get that from Woody, though. I don't get that from Woody. I get that.
I'm apprehensive.
I get that he's
That's how I
trying.
feel. That's how I feel.
I get that he trying.
Yeah.
You're just naturally a skeptic. That's what's happening
That
here.
is very true,
Because
though. I am.
I feel like Woody is just trying, and I feel like he came from a place where he didn't try before. And he's kind of seeing where, he's kind of growing up and maturing and realizing, like, I want this to last. I like her. I jumped into this. He seems like he's committed to the process. And so I see Woody's effort, and I just take it as like him really wanting it to work. You know what I mean?
I feel like he tried before, but with different intent. I feel like Woody, based on what his friend said, he always been a ladies' man. So
Right.
he probably
Yeah, but that's
always
different
been
from trying. I don't think because you
that's what I'm saying.
can have a lot of partners and not necessarily try to do anything.
That's what I'm
And I
saying.
think that he's,
okay.
you know what I'm saying? I think Woody was a F-boy, but I don't think that he was doing this with other women. You know what I'm saying? I don't get that from Woody. I get Woody was out here in these streets and living his life. You know what I'm saying? But that's very different from that's very different from, who was it? Miles, who were in relationships. And Miles was probably doing this with a bunch of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which, not to jump to that, but since you brought it up, after I thought about it and I kind of sat with me, I do kind of see where Karen is coming from, where she's like, do I want you to have a lot of sexual partners? No, right? But if that happens, cool. But the idea that you want to have something special with somebody who feels like they have something special with everybody, I can understand how that could vibe.
But he didn't. But we're adding on to what Karen gave us, because that's not what she gave us, and that's not what she said, and she didn't say anything.
I'm trying to get my shit so real.
Didn't say anything.
She can't get no room.
She didn't.
She really can't.
She didn't say anything that was that eloquent or that well thought out in the first place.
She was like, are you a serial dater?
Right. And so what she had a problem with was just the mere fact that he was in monogamous relationships. He never said he had something special with everybody with. He just said he was in real relationships. He met some great people and he was in a relationship with them, which is nothing wrong with that. I don't see nothing wrong with that, because again, on the flip side, if he told you he was just slinging ding-a-ling all over the city, you would find some pause to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It shows that you're not afraid of commitment.
Right.
And it shows you're not afraid to dedicate yourself to one person as opposed to being all out and about.
And inversely, I do get that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I was kind of like caping for him at. Like, you want somebody who is not afraid to be like, I'm in this with you.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Not only that, but what do we really want? We got to stop moving the goalposts, right? When we see a guy out here in the street dating everybody, doing all of this other stuff, never really having a serious relationship, we call him a fuckboy. We call him.
But that's
we
who
call,
we really
we
want.
call him. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, what do we really want? Because we have all of these negative connotations for that type of guy. Then we see somebody who is the complete opposite of that, and we got all these negative connotations about them, and we got all these negative things to say about them. So it's like, what do you really want? Like, why do we keep moving the goalposts for these dudes?
And I think that's my problem with Karen. Like, what you have had has not worked.
Right.
And you keep comparing Miles to what you have had.
Right.
And you keep wanting him to be what you have had.
Because I'm the girlfriend that's going to keep
served
reminding you that he got somebody pregnant, sis. Whoever you thought you was dating, whatever you thought your picker was doing,
Remember
it's
that?
broke. It's broke. It
Right.
don't work. Whoever you thought was the one for you, they ain't. They ain't.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
How about, do you remember when Amelia said when they were rating the couples, right?
Yeah, or rating their experience
Right.
with each other.
And Karen was talking about how she's just used to a masculine man and she hasn't seen that yet.
That's what
and
I mean.
I think what Amelia said right then was so great. She was like, he might just be someone who really adores you.
He might just be a nice guy.
He might just be
Dick.
a nice guy.
But you know
Like-
what? But
Like what?
And we gotta really dig into this because I have girlfriends who will say to me like, "Oh, he just gotta know how to handle me because I got him out. He gotta be able to check me." And I tell my girlfriends all the time, "You a grown ass woman. Check your goddamn self."
Straight up.
Okay, because I don't want my man yelling talking. He know. Anybody in the house yell louder than me, it's a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really don't. So why would you want a spouse who doesn't love and adore you and want to see, like, the idea that that's not masculine or emasculate, that it's emasculating to him to even say, I don't want you got to be like hemming me up and all. Like, who want to live a life like that?
That also speaks to what I was saying before. What do we really want, right?
Yeah.
We say we all know the women with the 20-page long list, right? They got to be this, they got to be that, they got to be this, right? And then you meet somebody who is giving you a lot of the things that you say you wanted, right? No woman ever says, I hope that I'm with a man who doesn't share his feelings with me and is not emotional, is just emotionally unchecked, right?
Right.
But then when you get a guy who's like Miles,
right,
who's very locked into his inner star player, is very tapped in, into who he is and very conscious about his partner and his, like, for him to divulge the information of being diagnosed with depression, right?
Yeah.
For him to share that information, that was not only hard for him, it was big of him to do.
Yes.
But for somebody to be like that, and then you call him, well,
emotional.
what do you want? Why do we keep moving the goalposts? So you rather have a dude get in front of you and say, like Brett, nothing. Brett, the girl was in tears. Brett, who was it? Brett and Olivia sitting there. She's trying to talk to him. It's obviously visibly something wrong with him.
Yes.
Whatever. That's what you want, Karen?
But you know,
that's what you want?
yes.
That's what she used to.
Yes. But a lot of y'all, you know, it ain't just Karen, because y'all all cut from the same cloth. But it is.
Not everybody.
But what it is that a lot of y'all want a man, y'all man is walking around here diagnosed with chlamydia. And he won't tell you. So I know for a damn fact, you don't want somebody walking around here with depression. Y'all couldn't handle it. You could never handle it. Y'all could, like, the idea that, like, it's such a vulnerable place to put himself to tell you anything about him. You was with a man who was diagnosed pregnant. Somebody else. And he didn't tell you. The fact that this man, but you want communication. Y'all don't really want that.
When you say you're ready for a relationship, you got to be ready for all the vulnerabilities that's going to come with it.
Yep.
And I didn't think that was a big deal. Your daddy is sitting somewhere depressed. Your uncle is sitting somewhere, don't know why he having highs and lows and stuff like that. Black people in general are so underdiagnosed.
But he said that.
Yeah.
And he said that.
Yes.
And he should be in a
space. He was educated about, you know, about his situation, which I thought was very respectable. And it really wants me. I really gotta apologize to all the black mamas because I was going in on y'all. And what it really made me realize in retrospect is that Miles' mama read her,
and she knew.
She knew. Bring me my raggedy baby back, okay?
She knew.
Because you're not going to come around here because she like, I'm saying.
Now we know where that came from.
Now we know exactly.
Now we know where that came from. We thought she was just being overbearing.
Yeah.
But now
she
it's
was
like,
reading her. I see what's going on here.
Right.
No, you won't coming through and jack mine up. Okay, because she probably been here when he had these lows.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to nurse your baby back to health. No,
and she's probably seen other women that he's dated. And she knows like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. That's why she said, if you can't deal with it, bring them back here.
Period.
And I respect that. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
I still got the spirit of laying hands.
Right.
Straight up.
Especially about my baby.
Straight up.
So you better just bring them back so we ain't got no problems, okay?
And you know what Karen brings up to me? I think that people always talk about, again, how the type of person that they want, right? And then when we make these lists of our spouse, these are philosophically whole people, like people that are very well, they're sound, they're everything is their I's are dotted, they T's is crossed, right? Yep. But then the issue to me is when they actually meet those people, then that means that you are now challenged to step up to match that person's wholeness. And so a lot of times it seems like these things like Karen happens where people start to self-sabotage the situation because they're not really ready to step up and be the whole person that they're asking for.
And that wasn't okay. I feel like it's okay to me that she wasn't. Let me say this. It's okay to me that you're not ready to be in this kind of serious relationship. It's not okay that you went through a process like this.
You signed up for it.
And now you're on the brink of maybe traumatizing or adding some issues to somebody else because you wasn't ready. I take issue with. And I know a lot of y'all have an issue with us going in on Karen. And I think we go in a little bit more on Karen. I know I do because I'm a black woman. And it really, I have black girlfriends and I'm constantly trying to get them to a place where like, you know, because I'm going to get you a husband, child. Like, you my girlfriend, we going to get a husband. But it's like, I know that sometimes we kind of get in our own way. Respectfully. And like, you know what I mean? And we like, sometimes we think we know what we want and it's the complete, and we don't know what we need. And I think that she is a victim of that. Like, she got it all figured out, but she knows absolutely nothing.
And it's off-putting when you have dated a certain type of man. Yeah. For, you know, your entire adult life, and she says she hasn't even dated that much before, and then you get someone who is completely opposite of that. I can relate. Like, you kind of have to find your footing again and be like, oh, okay. Like, I thought that this was how a man showed up in a relationship, but now this is how he's showing up, and that's okay too. It's nothing, and that's okay too.
But here's my issue when I see a Karen situation. I hear all the time, you know, we see it on the blogs, we see it in Twitter, we see it on Facebook, niggas ain't shit, it ain't no good bulls out here, all of this other stuff.
It's only about sex.
And then I see, but the matter of it is I know a lot of them, right?
I know six.
The fact of the matter is that I know a lot of them. And so when I see somebody like Miles, I know I got a lot of friends that's like Miles, right? But the thing is, when these guys get in these relationships, Miles gonna get his heart broke. Right? So this is why I go in on Karen, because these guys like this they get their heartbreak. And sometimes Miles seems like he's been able to love again over and over again. But sometimes this is how these dudes turn into monsters. Because they're like, I tried the good boy thing. I tried to show up. I gave my heart. And I kept getting, so then they turn into the guy that we don't want to see. So when I go in on Karen, it's because I know a lot of Miles's. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of really stand-up dudes in my life. You know what I'm saying? Who is I told her, as soon as I saw Miles, I said, Miles is one of my friends. I already know, I know this guy. I've seen this guy before. You know what I mean?
But I think the bigger question is around masculinity and what that looks like or shows up in a relationship for you. And I don't think that just because he disclosed some information about his medical status or whatever the case may be, that will make him any less masculine than anybody else. I think that that's like such an upstanding thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? People would tell you, they won't tell you less.
Right.
Your man came home with the coronavirus because he was laying up with Nancy and them. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and won't the bull just got shot at because it was coronavirus and he was out there laying up with another chick and his wife found him, the ball player. So it's like, these are the things that like y'all men don't even speak to y'all about that. They will put y'all in harm's way for less.
Yeah, I think that in society we have an unhealthy definition, maybe, about what masculinity is, and it's not holding in your emotions all the time.
That's toxic. That's not masculinity.
That's toxic. And the one place, first of all, our men, especially our black men, have to do that anyway.
Right.
Out in the world.
Right.
So the one place they should be able to be vulnerable and share their emotions and whatnot is at home.
Right.
And
that's hard.
Right. And then with Miles, like, he's taking it a step further and is not only in touch with his emotions, but he's telling you, like, I have lows, right? This is what that looks like. Right. This is how you can engage with me when I do have those moments, right? That's self-awareness, you know, to just like diagnosis,
but
right?
You're not a whole person.
But
so self-awareness is frightening.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Yes. Because if you are on that level, you appreciate that because you are capable of bringing that to the table.
Right.
And I think sometimes we see these people, they get intimidated when they ask for, Mom used to say, be careful what you ask for, right? Sometimes your eyes is bigger than your stomach is. This is what I'm talking about here. Where it's like, you say you want these things, but when you are with an excellent person, that means that you got to step up your game to be just as excellent as them. And it's scary to people.
It's okay. Let me say this for Karen. It's okay to be intimidated by it. It's okay to have reservations. It's okay to be concerned and be like, whoa, like, I don't know if I can deal with this. But I think my challenge with Karen is that you don't see her wanting to try. Like,
effort.
Like, it just seemed like everything is like, oh, well, this happened, so I don't know.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you hear Christina talk, she's like, well, maybe I can figure out a way to be the aggressor more.
Yes.
Yep.
And I was like, I admire that.
But do y'all feel how Henry is kind of coming out of his shell, talking about Christina and Henry?
Yes.
I'm feeling Henry be a little bit more vocal, open up a little bit more. And I think what was so important, before they went and hung out with everybody, they were at the table with one another and it got super awkward. And
they're always super awkward. But
let me tell you what I appreciated about Christina. My name is Intisar. He said, Christine. She said, Christina. And I said, ooh. Check him. Smack a dog on his nose, push his face in the piss, because you won't do that again. So it's like, you know what I mean?
She did correct.
She did. Got them right together. Okay. And it's like, but she was like, but she is a little bit high strung. Yeah. And she does have I put something in my notes, but I'm going to say she has a really strong personality, because I don't want to say what I put. But I think that it's something very awesome about her that she's very patient with him.
She is.
She's really into the process.
Because I was like, when I was watching this episode, I was like, I can't stand Christina.
I cannot.
Especially when she was snapping at the producers, I wasn't feeling that at all.
Christina's a little bit of a dick.
Like, she can be sometimes, like, just snap, and we've seen that in a couple episodes.
Right?
But she just snapped
she showed up.
You're like, oh, wow.
She snapped before she walked down the aisle in the first episode. She's snapping at, I'm not going anywhere. Like, all right.
But you know,
she's a Kardashian. Y'all don't get it? You don't feel like she's a star? Or she want to be a star?
No.
She don't give you that?
No, she don't give me that.
This her show. Y'all better stop playing.
Listen. But here's what I will give her. You never see her impatient or snapping with Henry.
Right. Never. She never does that with him.
She never does that. She's always so patient with him.
Yes.
And even when she's talking about him and their relationship, you know, like behind the scenes, like in her one-on-one with the camera, she's still very, like, open and giving and, like, well, maybe I can try this. You know, I wish he would just do this. Like, she expresses her frustration about him not being the aggressor, but she still will be like, well, maybe I can do this to help the situation.
Yes. Effort. She giving effort.
Yeah. So, like, I'm
really feeling her man. But you know why I like Christina? Because I like straight shooters, and I like people who are like, if you want to read fulfilled, like, see people, and I feel like they had to all rate their relationships.
Yes.
And so everybody does it.
Yeah.
Henry gave it a 7. Christina gave it a 5, but he gave it a 7 because he felt like he's not putting enough effort in. So she might, and he says, this is how you know he's coming out of his shell. She might think it's a little bit lower, and it might be because of me.
Right.
But I think it's good. Right. He's like, I think she's really pretty. She's a beautiful woman. I enjoy being around her. Like, but I can do more. So they get to Brett, right? and asked him, are you going to rate? Everybody's giving their ratings. And he said, what did he say?
It's dehumanizing.
This is dehumanizing. I'm not going to
rate it. I'm not going to dehumanize our relationship by rating it.
Brett is just.
But everybody looking around like, all right.
Yeah,
like we're not going to fight you about it. Like, what's the big deal? But the biggest thing was that, pause, 3-second pause, they asked Olivia, and Olivia was straight up like a 7.
Yeah, easy.
Yep.
And he gets offended, which is so like fragile male ego. Like he's thinking he's giving 100%, and she's like, we can't rate it off of, it can't be perfect,
right.
Which I don't agree with. Because I think that they were thinking about the relationship in terms of what it could be, as opposed to what it is right now in this moment. Don't rate it based on what argument you think you're going to have 3 days from now, or how you're going to handle that, or whatever the case may be. In this moment, how do you feel?
Well, also, Brett just takes everything personally.
Everything.
Here's an example, right? Earlier in the episode, she was like, yes, I like to try new things. When we were talking about money, right? I like to try new things, right? I get bored easily. And he was like, so does that mean you're going to get bored with me?
Yeah.
That ain't what she said.
That's not what she said.
She was talking about trying new things and being adventurous, and he turned it around and made it about her. And I think the same thing happened in the rating. They talk about rating relationships, not rating your effort.
Right.
She ain't say your effort was a 7. She said the state of where we are right now is a 7.
You're absolutely right.
And so he's taking situations and he's making it personal when it wasn't meant to be personal.
Right.
Which says also a lot about him and how he's triggered.
Yes.
Because it's apparent that you have an issue with showing up in any kind of ranking, because you're thinking, amongst these couple, where do we fall? As opposed to, how am I feeling about this situation right now?
Period.
You know what I mean?
Period.
And that's really the issue. Because, no, everybody's not going to be Woody and Amani, who was super in sync with their numbers because they both said 9.
Right?
Yeah.
Which means that they were rating it based on where they were in the moment.
Yes.
Right.
They recognize everybody's going to have fights. But,
that also tells they communicate.
Yeah.
A lot and well.
Yeah.
The fact that they had
the same number.
Yes.
Y'all didn't know what y'all was going to get asked. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That does tell you a lot. And but I do appreciate that everybody like leaned in and like spoke about how they were feeling. And I think that that's important. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to say like, this is where we are at today. I just don't want people to get wrapped up in the like, oh, when is the other shoe going to drop? It might just be good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you might be you might make something out of something by anticipating it.
Yeah.
So you might make a mountain out of a molehill. And I think that that's kind of that, like, that apprehension to just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm nervous about Amani, because Amani kind of alludes to that. And I'm just hoping that Amani doesn't do that, because she kind of is like every couple of conversations, she's like, well, I'm just worried about things going south. Like, she's constantly saying that. Because she's kind of, it seems like she's nervous of, you know what I mean?
But you know what? I kind of get, that's a sign of Amani's history. So Amani was dating a guy and was dating him for a while and then found out he was married. Yeah. So I think that, and she's thinking everything is going well and everything like that. So I think that cautiousness, that apprehension from her is just based on things that she's dealt with.
And it happened a couple times.
So let's be clear. Everybody should have this. They're marrying strangers.
True.
I'm saying that when you constantly speak of it, you give it power.
I agree.
And you give it more credence and more of a possibility for it to come true. Like I said, I always say when I relate things back to sports, if you go into a game saying, I might lose this game, you're going to lose this game. And so if Amani is constantly saying, this might go south, we might go south, I'm worried about it's going south, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go south.
Well, here's the thing. I think that's based on the questions that she's being asked, right? Like, I don't think she's just saying, like, oh, I'm scared, right? Like, when
she says it to Woody sometimes, and it's but she's not prompted.
Well,
that's what I mean.
But he asked, like, when she said in this episode, he asked her, like, are you scared to be with me? Her response was yes. Yeah,
but sometimes she's volunteered it and it hasn't been like. Sometimes she just like, yeah, you know, she'll be telling him, I like being with you so much that it's scary because I don't want, you know what I mean? And it's like, don't keep feeding into these things, you know what I'm saying? Because the first point of defeating it is stopping it before you.
Well, here's the reality: in any relationship, a shoe is going to drop.
Period.
So, like,
let me tell you, we got a lot of shoes. A lot of shoes is going to drop. Okay.
It's going to happen. Right.
What you need to trust is that you with somebody that you can work through and navigate the shoe shop.
But that's my point. Like, stop. And the biggest issue I have with like this whole like, oh yeah, I'm nervous, I'm this, I'm that. You can say that to the point where the smallest thing will set you off. Yeah. And you think that's the thing.
Yeah.
This is the shit. When in fact, it's not. Pick your socks up off the floor and call it a day.
Because what's true,
you know what I mean?
Because it might be a cliche, but what's true, as true is if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. And you might end up making something that's not the thing. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. But I want to move on because I think they had a really important conversation about money.
Yes.
And they were talking about Olivia makes more money than Brett, which, let me tell you why I like Brett, because on the wedding night, Brett told her, I don't make a lot of money, so don't be coming around here think you're getting Tiffany's. He said,
I don't vacation because I ain't got disposable income to vacation.
I ain't got disposable income. Ooh, child, that's sad. But no, that hit my heart a little different. But saying it out loud, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even like to speak shit like that. But you manifesting stuff. I don't even want to speak on that. Like, but I do feel like there's a conversation there. Like, she thought that she was going to get somebody a little bit more financially stable.
But, I mean, he's stable. She like more like. That had a little bit more.
Because that's two different things.
Right. Because he holding it down.
He holding it down. And that's what he said.
He took care of them kids.
Okay. Yes, he holding it down.
He said that. They go, listen.
But she trying to travel and go to restaurants and stuff, and I ain't mad.
But my issue with Brett's response in that is like, okay, well, I'm not really down for that. Like, I just rather just kick it at home. And it's like, you can't come into these relationships with your own agenda. She did it as well. You know what I'm saying?
Do that.
She did the same thing when she said, well, this is when I come home, I'm tired. And so, like, just so you know, like, nothing's about to pop off. Like, no, sis, you're coming home to a whole man.
Hello?
Like, you cannot come into a relationship with the mental capacity of you being as a single person, right? Yeah. The things you used to do when you were single are no longer applicable here, right? So now when you come home, because if you got kids, you ain't coming home tomorrow. I'm tired, so I'm about to take a shower and go to
that ain't it.
That you're not about to do that, right? So you can't treat your husband with less than that energy. Like, you got to be coming home thinking like things are going to be different because I'm married now.
Right.
So stop giving him what your single agenda is.
Right.
And I didn't like that Brett did the same thing, where Brett was just kind of like, well, I don't really get down with the traveling and stuff like that, so I'm not.
But do you think that? Excuse me. Do you think that they are doing this because you don't know this person, you're married, and you're trying to draw hard lines? And I think that I think that maybe he felt her energy about what she didn't like. She's very open about what she's not dealing with, what she don't like. And I think he's meeting her with that energy. And I think that she's a very strong personality. And I think that he's trying to assert that strongness by saying, I'm not doing this either. And I think that that's why it's really important sometimes not to speak about certain things and just allow them to unfold. Yeah. You don't know what you open to doing. Yes. You just don't. Right. You don't know what you open to doing. So just shut up, let the things happen, and then move from there. And I think that sometimes you put yourself on a defensive, or I don't know where this works, but you put yourself in a space where you now have to be like, I gotta protect how I'm feeling too. Yeah. And I think that's what he's doing. Like, I'm not trying to give him too much, but I do think that, like, he's not one of those guys that doesn't come off relatively easygoing. So for him to say what he's not going to do, to me, was kind of fascinating.
Well, he comes off as a dick, so I wasn't surprised. Like,
no, he doesn't. Don't get me wrong. He comes off as douchey.
Yeah, all the time.
But to me, he doesn't come off as like not amicable. He doesn't come off as a non-amiable person. He comes off somebody that like, oh, if you're working with it, I'm working with it. If you're doing this, I'm doing this. She does not.
I think maybe his response, because I see what you're saying and what you're saying, and I think maybe his response was, in fact, a response to the way that she said it. Because when I looked at it, I was like, I saw it as a good thing in that they don't know each other. Yeah. So she's sharing where her default is, right? Right. That way, when it comes up, when they're home and she happens to fall into that, he's not like, well, what's going on? Are you mad or whatever? He's like, oh, she did tell me that a lot of times when she comes home, this is what she does naturally. So I looked at it as her just sharing, like, this is how it is now, because this is what my
she just didn't come with that energy. But she didn't come with that.
Like, the way she
the
said
vibe was like, this is what I do.
Right. And don't
this
mess
is what
with
it's
me.
Right.
He said, well, you talk to your friends every day, like, so when you gonna talk to me if you talk to them every day? And that's a very good question. The biggest thing here is that these people have embarked on this journey with strangers. They have no idea their life is about to change completely, because the moment you introduce somebody into your space, into your life, you don't really have, it ain't what you about to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you ain't about to sit up here and tell me what you want to do and we share a space together.
Right.
Yes.
This is a we thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we making decisions together. I blast my music all the way from Burbank to LA. Why? Because I know I got to come in the house, cook dinner, talk to my man. What kind of day did you have? I could have had the worst day ever. I can't show up in my home with that energy.
Yeah. And that means when you talk about things, right, then you have to talk about it with an openness.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
As opposed to saying
with these finite statements.
Right,
like,
when somebody says, like, well, I want my house to be this way.
Yes.
Or I want to raise my kids this way.
Yes.
Or this is how I am when I come in. It closes the door for anybody else to come in.
So then people like, well, how is there room? Where do I fit in?
Which is why, to me, Brett was responding in the manner that he did.
Yes.
So they was like, oh, you want to go out? Then go out then. I ain't going nowhere. Like, you know what I mean?
I'll be home.
I'll be home. That's what you could do. Go ahead and do it.
Yes.
But I wanted to talk about masculinity and things like that, because I feel like Olivia was towing that line too. Like, she wanted somebody to make a little bit more money and everything like that, because to her, that is a sign of a man in her life, in her household, whatever. And I don't really believe, I always say, you could be with a man with a lot of money and he'd be the stingiest mother on earth. So my thing is, I don't know, just because he got money don't mean that you got money. So it's like, you know what I mean? And that's the truth. A lot of men are out here just mad stingy. And it's like, and they can have all the money, okay? Yeah. But I think that the bigger thing is that if you're with, you could be with the man from McDonald's. If he's willing to give you everything but the $20 to get the bus, that's the one. You know what I mean? Because generosity is important.
It is important in the relationship on both sides, right? It should be reciprocal, right? With not really. Well, Olivia, though, I feel like what she was talking about was companionship more than like.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
She was right, because she was like,
she like, I came in this to do this with somebody. Right. Right. So that was my problem with Brett, because I'm like, you heard that and went.
He had an issue, and I think a lot of times, do I think that? I don't know. Sometimes, right? When women make more than men, it's more of a problem for the man than the female because of masculinity.
That's true too.
Right?
Yep.
Right? And
that's
so
true too.
That was my thing with her. She came into it like, I want you to, I'm not trying, if I want to go out to eat, I'm not trying to have you say we ain't got disposable income. No.
Right.
I'm trying to go out to eat.
Yeah.
All right?
Now, like, you better go out there and sell some ass.
Okay. Like, get us some business. That's what I like to do, and that's important to me. And if you like to stay home, then that means that I need to take time and stay home with you sometimes too.
Right.
And I want you to feel the money thing is just me wanting you to feel comfortable doing these things that I like to do. She didn't say nothing about he need to make a whole lot. It was, I want him to feel comfortable doing these things.
But let me say this though about the money thing. A lot of y'all gotta stop telling people how much money y'all making anyway. Yeah, I say this to all of my girlfriends. He don't give a damn how much money you make, sis. We know you proud of yourself. Yeah. We get it, okay? Yeah. You making a couple dollars, you cute, you doing your thing, sis. We get it. That's for you. You an adult. You supposed to be doing that.
Right.
It ain't, as far as he's concerned, you make $45,000 a year. How you gonna eat if he ain't got no money? Who gonna pay the bills? Where the lights at if he ain't got no money? Like, it's like, I don't get it. Like, y'all gotta stop thinking that y'all the ones that gotta be like, because men still want to be men, whether they make $100 or $1 million. Like, it really don't matter. Like, you know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, the $1 million man is picking chicks up at the bus stop. Yeah. He ain't worried about that you in a corporate building doing your thing. Don't nobody give a damn. Yeah. So you poor. Nah, you ain't got no money. So you're poor. I ain't got no money. Pay for breakfast. Like, I got money for breakfast.
Allow a man to be a man.
Allow him to be a man. Like, you know what I mean? It's okay to be in a space where you just a girl.
Yeah.
You just like a girl. Like, I'm just doing woman things. You might be running a whole company, whatever. But sometimes it's nice to come home and somebody else make a decision.
Yes.
I know. I mean, for me. Like,
for me, too.
For me. Sometimes it's just nice to, like,
hey,
you make so many decisions
all day about everything. I don't want to make no more decisions. You take the lead.
You want chicken or fish.
Man.
You ain't figured it out yet.
You take the lead. I want what you want.
Right.
What you think?
What you think?
Me too.
Right.
But, this makes me go back to Karen and Miles. We saw them in the water, and they were like, hanging out right before he tells her that he's diagnosed. And they just are really a beautiful looking couple. Like, if she was really into them, they are just a delightful, like, they are just a good looking couple. I just wish it was more there, and I wish that we had a better understanding what her idea of masculinity is, and I really do believe it's abuse. And but not like
I already know she got the wrong idea.
I already know. And it's weird because she comes from a 2-parent household, but it makes me.
Her parents still together?
Yes, and it makes me think about what her actual her mother's dynamic is
yes.
with her father.
Yeah.
Because how is your father so masculine that your mother can't say nothing in the household? And you think that's okay?
And maybe that's why she had all the things to say when she was talking to Miles at the table, because she couldn't say nothing at home.
Who knows?
Or you would speak right, because the father didn't even want to be a part of the process.
Yeah, because
so it's like, you know what I mean. So what does this actually mean?
Yeah, I do wonder what the dynamic is of her parents.
Because I'm really still stuck on this like view of like masculinity and what those things are for you. And I believe that any of you guys you could date whoever you want, love whoever you want, whatever the case may be. But you do want to. Your love tank also has to be full. And these people can show, you know what I mean? Like, these people can show up and just not speak your language at all. And it's like, but you thinking because they do provide this, and this,
right,
that it's serving you in a manner that it's not.
Right. I really am curious. Like, as we were talking, it made me think about how we're seeing 4 completely different men on this show. Yes. Right? And if you look at Bennett, boy going to sleep in dresses.
He a whole dress.
But he's so masculine.
Right. This is what I'm saying. Like, what can we ask the people to comment below? Like,
right.
Like, comment below. Okay.
Right.
What is masculinity to you? Right. Like, what is? And I feel like based on what we're seeing, it's a range. Like, it's not any one thing, or is I don't know.
It's
like,
not. It's not any one thing.
You know,
it's just this spectrum of like I think the idea of masculinity needs to be taken out of it, period. Because you just want a whole partner. Like, you know what I mean? Because being emotional and everything, that's assigned to women. But you want a man who shows up. You want him to be vulnerable. You want him to speak about his feelings. You want, like, so I don't know if, like, I don't even like the idea of speaking about masculinity so much. Like, you know what I mean? Because we're all adults. You just want a full adult.
But the thing is that there's masculinity is not a problem, and people in today's time like to make it a problem. Like, when you get to those toxic masculinity people, everything masculinity related is a problem. You know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be a problem to be masculine or to have someone who is masculine, but I think too many people have the wrong idea of what masculinity is.
Or don't. You know that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's like, what is it even that it shows up so largely in what you need in a spouse?
Right.
Because when I talk about a man, I already assume that you're a man. So, like, you know what I mean? That's check. We don't even have to talk about this. So now I need you to be boom, 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 and boom. The masculinity aspect is so far from it. He's a grown man who wants to be with a woman.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like
if you're a man wanting to be with a man, you wouldn't be masculine. You still would be.
Right.
But it's like, I'm just saying, like, we already know how he's presenting.
Yeah, I think the one common thread across, the 4 of them is, and even in Bennett, right? When we look at Bennett and why we feel like he's masculine, is the confidence.
Right.
It really
that's
is.
a part of it.
He just flows in who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a
he
part
allows,
of it.
Amelia to be Amelia.
Yes.
Right? He says his ideas.
Them.
Even when she's like, YOLO ain't you
when she said,
he was
he's
like, oh, okay.
Right.
He's like,
he ain't get offended.
No.
He ain't get defensive.
And then he held on to it. He was like, well, I'm just going to call it you only love once.
Like, I'm going to make it my own. And I think that, you know, maybe that's what, you know, masculinity, and maybe that's femininity too, right? Like the confidence. Maybe there's a certain, you know, when someone is confident, that just overrides, you know, everything. I don't.
Like just masculinity is not somebody coming home choking you up and throwing you up again. That's not what masculinity is.
Not
Karen.
Emotion.
That's not being emotionally checked out. Being emotionally checked out is not masculine. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, hitting you over the head with the turkey bone is not like that's not masculinity. And I feel like there's a lot of Karens out there who have this skewed view of what masculinity is.
But it's Henry, because I tend to. Okay,
but it's Henry,
right? Because I tend to think, right, masculinity is leadership, right, and taking the lead. I'm gonna just leave it at that, right? Like taking the lead in situations, and I feel like with Henry, we've seen that he just be like. Yeah,
Henry is a little
Henry is not
a little lazy.
He's not self-assured, and he is. To your point, confidence, you were talking about that. Yeah. I think he's just lacking a little bit of like, you can do this. Like,
and that confidence. Confidence is a part of it too.
You're doing it. But I do love to hear Henry's perspective.
That's true. Now
because Henry is tapped in. Henry is not aloof. Henry can tell you about every couple. He can tell you about his relationship, and Henry knows what's going on.
Yes, he can, and I really do enjoy it because he listens.
Because he listens.
You're not talking, you can listen.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. But I do like that about Henry, and I like that. Like, I really enjoyed that when Woody was talking to them in the group, and he said, "If your wife wanted to have sex with you right now, would you have sex with your wife?" Mm-hmm. And he was like, you know, talking. He's like, "Oh, I don't know." Uh-huh. And he was like, "Would you? She wants to have sex. You wouldn't have sex with your wife? Like, what's the big deal? Like, you know what I mean? Like." I think that he is going to need the support system, Henry, that is, a little bit more than anybody else, because he's slowly coming out of his shell, but I think he's going to need his friends to be like, it's okay to be like affectionate with your wife. It's okay to be like holding hands, kissing in the mouth, slapping on the butt. That's your wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'll need a little hand holding, but I'm not going to fake. I think that Christina and Henry are kind of moving up there on me. And that's only because of the effort that Henry, I feel like, not the effort, but
I can see that they both giving effort.
They both are,
they're moving up. They're a little bit above Brett and Olivia for me because...
easily. They're a lot of bit above.
Y'all talking about shoes about to drop. Something about Brett and Olivia is really...
And it's been off since the beginning. Brett and Olivia
But talking about masculine energy, Olivia don't got masculine energy to y'all?
I don't know.
Not to me.
No. She gives me real... So I'm really impartial to people saying what they're not going to do in a relationship, because I think that's just so silly. Because you get with somebody and then what you wasn't going to do changes like that.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or what I'm not putting up with changes like that, right? Yes. So I think I'm saying that because I'm not a man, but how she speaks is off-putting to me. And I think that you should be real clear about the things that you want and everything like that. But men are egocentric, and you got to learn the art of finesse. We were talking about this, and she's not a finesser. And not in a bad way. Not that you got to be fake with your man.
But moreover than anything, men want to feel respected, especially by the person that they come home to. You can take all ego out of it. You can take all ego out of it. Your man, whether he make $100,000 or $100, he wants to come home and he wants to feel respected. And how you speak to him is a big part of that. And when Olivia is telling him, this what I'm going to do, this what I'm not going to do, you do feel a little bit emasculated and you do feel a little bit disrespected. Which is a problem. It's a budding seeds of a huge problem.
Let me tell you where that comes from.
Where?
With Olivia, right? I feel, because I just had this conversation.
Okay.
I feel like, right, Olivia, so she's a nurse practitioner, right? Like she's gotten to a certain place in her career. You know, we don't know how much she makes, we just know she makes a good amount. She's pretty advanced or whatever, right? You don't get that far without having to tap into your masculine energy, right?
Yes.
You have to operate in that space
100%.
in order to get to that place, right? The challenge with those type of women, I'm included,
Me
right?
too.
Is understanding, right, like how to balance that and come out of that when you get in front of a man.
It is such an
right?
art. It's a muscle.
It is a muscle that needs to be massaged.
Yes.
It needs to be massaged.
Yes,
right? Like,
you have to.
When you're at work, you have to be very definitive in what you're saying. You have to make declarative statements. You have to say, this is what it is, this is what it's not.
Yes.
And so it is easy to fall into that. When you're at home,
into your relationship.
right? If this is what you've been doing, I don't know how old she is, but I'm 35. If this is what you've been doing for 35 years, right? Yeah. Then it's easy to slip into that, right? And so with Olivia, I think that's what happens.
I think that's exactly what that is.
Yep.
And I think, and that's all I'm getting at. It's absolutely a muscle because we have the conversation here because sometimes I like to speak in plain, flat tone, so you know I meant what I said. So, because I'm not going to yell it to you or anything like that, but you're going to know that I meant no. Right. And Joe don't like that. Like, Joe wants you to, he can hear it in the back of his head. He heard me yelling, cussing him the hell out, so he don't like that. So, I had to learn the art of, like, finessing a little bit.
Yes.
Like, no,
framing.
Like, yes.
Like,
you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to go up in your voice a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
I would like you to be nice.
Because at first I was like, no. Appreciate that silence. It was a period. Okay. You know, that was a full sentence. You know what I mean? But I do think that I'm curious to see how Brett and Olivia go as this continues. I'm like so into this whole process and like how these couples are growing. We're going to pray for Karen and Miles, y'all.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they stayed together?
It would be way crazy.
Y'all want to put money on it? Who want to wager?
I don't think it's going to happen.
Speaking of rankings, let's rank the couples. You know, Woody and Amani is in the catbird seat for me. They've been number one. I called it from the beginning. Yeah. They're surging. Their lead is expanding. They're putting distance between themselves and the second best couple. The second best couple to me is going to be Bennett and Amelia for obvious reasons. They're unicorns and they found each other, and it's crazy.
I like how he's using unicorn. Right?
They are. That's the second best, and then I'm gonna go with Christina and Henry. It get funky. I'm gonna go with Christina and Henry third, and then I'm gonna go with Brett and Olivia, and then Miles and Karen dead last.
Ooh, Miles and Karen is last.
Miles and Karen is last on mine.
Dead last.
But I think that we're not giving enough. Bennett and Amelia made a fort together.
Listen. And she said love is being able to sit in a cardboard box.
Hello. Okay. And he said, how about this? I got one at home. Okay. Bag. Right there. But I think first of all, I'm obsessed with Bennett and Amelia. Amelia bought out a whole guitar, sang a song.
Bro, I said I can't believe this. This chick, you better not never leave her.
Marry her.
First of all, she's a doctor.
Oh, you did.
Marry her. Don't ever, wherever she,
he was
having like,
babies.
Not have her babies though. Let me tell you, he was having.
Be the dad.
Straight up, he was having second thoughts about like maybe if she gets this residency, he might have to move. Bro, move wherever she's gonna move. You will never find another version of her. It'll never happen.
I want to be more like her.
I want to be more like her.
Free and uninhibited. Both of them are.
And talented. She's a doctor and she can write songs. First of all, I know musicians that been musicians their whole life. They don't write songs.
But wouldn't dare put their guitar out and just play it right there like it's nothing.
No apprehension. No like, but I'm not sure if you gonna like it. Or
but she killed it.
And I've been drinking.
Straight up. Straight up, and she killed it. It was a good song. I'm saying by industry standards, it was a good song.
It was.
Like it was a legit good song.
It was a legit good song.
So it made me like kind of mad. Like, damn, she has everything. Like
she has everything. He looking at me like you so regular.
Yeah, like step your game up, bro.
You basic.
Like, why you ain't writing no songs? Yeah. Do something with these guitars. You know what I'm saying? Do something with them.
No, but in real life, for me, they are like, they're hitting on like a different level. For me. Like I love Woody and Amani. I don't want to get it messed up. Like I love.
Don't get it messed up because they the best. Hashtag
but I don't
Black
know.
Love
I don't
forever.
know if they the best.
Wakanda forever.
I'm feeling
yes, they
Bennett
are.
and Amelia and how they're connecting on these like weird
Do you think Bennett is being 100% honest?
Yes.
About what he wants, right? Because
they was talking about the kids.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he hasn't brought it up yet, and that could be fine, right? It could be he's leaving it open to see how he feels, and maybe he'll, change or whatever, right? But remember, his family was like,
he's not down.
Yeah.
But
and the moving thing, they got some, because the moving thing, he's not really down with the move for real, but because he's so mild mannered and so like he gives off this like I'm go with the flow, like when she talk about moving, he like I ain't going with the flow like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we'll see. That's why Amani and Woody is in a conversation.
Because I feel like Amani and Woody, they've been very open, like this is where I'm
Let me tell you something. This I knew. Let me tell you something.
Let's hold it back a little bit.
Let me tell you something. This I knew. Woody and Amani was on another level from everybody else, right? Is a part, and go back and check this out. There's a part where they're at the little bar where the girls are off to each other, they're rating, and the guys are at the table by themselves. And you see the camera is on like Olivia or something because she's talking. You see Amani come in the background and have this like non-verbal, little freakishly weird kind of conversation with Woody. And that's the time. Those are the type of moments that you if you out with your friend and you see your friend do that, you like, yo, fucking. You know what I'm saying?
That's not what the non-verbal
like who that? Like what's up? Like tell me. You look at your friend like you ain't tell what's going on because I could see it. You know what I'm saying? Your cousin bring her little friend to Thanksgiving, and you like, I see what y'all doing over here. When I seen that, I'm like, oh, Woody and Amani, they are on another level, bro. I seen it. I'm like, hold on, we've been doing that.
I mean, they taking showers and baths together.
Come on, bro.
But that's
Come on, bro. They on another
with
level,
no
bro.
Sex. They was doing
it with no sex.
sex.
That's why I was like, they on another level, bro.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I just don't want to get too physical. I worry about Woody.
They all right.
You wanna know this? He look too much like my daddy. And if y'all know my daddy.
No, we're not gonna disrespect John Wilson like that. What's up, Pops?
I love my daddy, but
he's a great man. Okay.
He is a great man. I don't know how many women gonna say that.
All of them.
Like Mr. Wilson.
All of them.
But no,
He's
I really
funny.
do. He alright. No, my daddy is funny. But no, I think that I'm really excited about where this is going, where everybody is going. I do think you're right about Bennett and Amelia. Bennett being a little bit too appeasing. He's a little bit too nice.
In paradise.
Right. And I'm ready for them to go home.
I am
that's
too.
what we will see
Hopefully.
next episode.
There might be another episode of them leaving.
Well, we're ready for the experts to come back because somebody else said that too. Like, where are the experts at?
Yeah, well, they're not on the honeymoon. Yeah.
But I'm ready for them to come in and put their foot in and be like, no, you stupid. Stop saying that. Don't do that. I'm ready for somebody to dig in some ass.
But let me tell you what I need. Let me tell you what I need when we get back to the experts.
Yeah.
Pastor Kyle, I need you to bring that same energy when you meet Karen. Because if Karen was a man with a beard and a penis in his pants, you would be bringing that energy to his door, right? We've seen Pastor Kyle get with these dudes before. Yeah. I need that same energy because Karen been doing some fuck shit for a while. And I need Pastor Kyle. Bring that same energy. Don't get there and be pussyfooting around. Because if Karen's name was Karan, he would be getting with her like, what are you doing? The guy tells you that he's been clinically depressed, and you give him this like, I don't know about, you know what I'm saying? Like, bring that same energy, bro.
That's Kyle's MO, right? I think
Dr. Pepper will get,
but nobody else, but they don't.
Men.
But that's the thing, they don't, and they haven't been. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that before when the Spanish John was supposed to get with the girl last season. And she just completely whiffed on an opportunity to call this girl on the carpet. We gotta stop doing that. Keep that same energy.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy. So for that, I guess we talked about everything we could. We beat this horse.
Yeah.
I am so glad that Jasmine came and joined.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming to the couch.
I really hope you enjoyed that.
I did.
And we're gonna keep having somebody come through and hang out with us while we get this together. But I really love Married at First Sight. If you ain't watching it, you better be.
You should.
And it really is good.
You
know what I mean? And we hope we'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.